with our prayers to the beautiful, wonderful deities of ISKCON, Jagannath, Sri Jagannath Mandir, ISKCON Shishatripuram, Baldeva Prabhu ki jai, Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Lord Jagannatha ki jai, Gauranathai ki jai, Lord Panchtattva ki jai, Panchtattva ki jai, Lord Parashurama ki jai, Lord Vaman Dev ki jai, Guru Sri Guru Parampara ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai. Okay, our prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we are doing two shlokas of Dhyana Yoga, 6.35 and 6.36. Shloka. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Asamshayan Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena Tu Kaunteya Vairagyena Cha Griyate. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. 6.36 Asamyata Atmana Yogo Dushprapa iti me matihi Vashyatmana to yatata Shakyo Vaptam Upayataha. Translation. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. So this is what Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna. So initially he said, yes, it is undoubtedly difficult to curb the restless mind. It is difficult, no doubt, but it is possible by suitable practice and detachment. And in the context, Lord Krishna is highlighting. So it means that yes, we need to have controlled mind. Although controlling the mind is very difficult, but there it is possible to control the mind. How? By he mentioned that two things. I mean, you have to have appropriate means, then he can be assured of success. And those two things, what he is saying is, that we'll find out. And those two things, yeah. So he's mentioned in 6.3 by practice and by detachment. Okay. All right. So Lord Krishna is telling to Arjuna. So this entire discussion has been related to mind, the difficulty in controlling the mind, dealing with the mind, which is the main obstacle in yoga, any kind of yoga. Although the term yoga these days have been used very loosely, people go to these health clubs or yoga centers with no intention of controlling the mind, just performing some asanas for better body. And again, once they are out from the yoga studio or wherever they're performing yoga, they are back into their old routine of sense gratification. So that is not the yoga which Lord Krishna has been emphasizing, or the scriptures emphasize. So yeah, so asamshayam ma baho, undoubtable, O mighty armed Arjuna, without any doubt. Mano durni graham chalam. It is very difficult to curb or control the mind. It is why? Because mind is restless and flickering. Abhyasena tu kanteya. However, by abhyasa, that is by practice, Vairagyena cha grihiyate. By detachment, mind can be so controlled. Two things, by practice and by detachment. So here Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. So His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gives a wonderful explanation. He puts a lot of emphasis on scientific methodology. So very easy to grasp. So yes, it is difficult to control mind, but it is not impossible. It is possible by abhyasa, that is by practice, vairagya, by detachment. Here, Lord Krishna seems to be using these terms, very generic terms, which we would have come across in our everyday life. If you want to do something, you have to practice. You have to detach from certain things. You have to give in your time. So for on these generic terms on how to control the mind. So Arjuna is asked how to control the mind, which is otherwise impossible. So Lord Krishna seems to be giving some generic terms. So he's not using the term or telling something that is directly or specifically related to bhakti or yoga. So he's highlighting these generic terms. So he's saying that by abhyasa and vairagya, that is by practice and detachment, it is possible to control the mind. So here Lord Krishna is not recommending a direct or specific process at the moment. So Lord Krishna is giving a very generic answer. How otherwise an uncontrollable mind can be controlled by practice and by detachment. So what does this practice and detachment refer to? So these are generic principles on all paths. So if a person is sick, for example, we know that if a person is sick, then that person has to take he has to take the treatment or therapy, that is abhyasa, practice. He has to abide by that. Two, he has to avoid certain items which can further worsen the condition or suffering of that patient or that person. So he needs to refrain from certain items so that it doesn't worsen. So this is vairagya, detachment. He's detaching from those that is not favorable because you want to achieve something, and what you want to achieve, you have to detach from certain things which are not favorable for achieving that. So, example, if a person has fever, then he should. We can see many examples. So we have experience in our daily life. So if a person has fever, he should avoid certain cold drinks, ice creams, and so things. And he has to take medicine. He has to take proper rest. He has to follow the prescription what the medicine says. How many times or what dose and at what time, before meal, after meal, with what, and so and so. Or if a person is feeling dehydrated, he is told to drink electrolytes, and he's told to take proper rest. So these are the things. So for example, if a person is overweight, then how can he be cured? We usually find that that person is told to regularly walk and exercise a little bit every day. So this is abhyasa, practice. He should refrain from eating oily foods, items. So certain other things also which can worsen the condition. So that is vairagya, detachment. So two things. So in the context of bhakti yoga, if it is applied, then because we are trying to achieve practice spiritual life. So abhyasa tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihiyate. So abhyasa is practice. We keep practicing to try to keep mind under control. And when it goes off, we try to bring it back again. So this is what is recommended in spiritual life, bhakti yoga. And every time it goes off, you do that same thing again. You continue practicing that. It goes off, you try to bring it back, and you do this again and again and again and again till it becomes a habit and it is not difficult for you to do it, and it becomes your primary nature instead of your second nature. So vairagya, detachment. So and vairagya means that we try to follow the regulative principles. So this is also required. Another thing, practice and vairagya. Vairagya is detachment. So vairagya means that we try to follow the regulative principles. We know that there are 4 regulative principles. That is, we try to avoid activities which agitate our mind disproportionately. So if we don't follow the regulative principles, then you will not be able to achieve success. So both things are required, practice and detachment. So you should not do things which are not favorable for bhakti yoga. So you refrain or avoid those activities which are not good for the mind. So now a person can say that, you see, it is because of the mind in the first place that I can't do abhyasa and vairagya. I cannot do practice and detachment because of the mind itself in the first place. So how this is going to work? So very thing I am not able to do, if I'm told to practice that, then how can I achieve that? How can I achieve that? So no. So His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says that it happens in progression. This goes bhakti yoga through progressive stages. For example, a person who is overweight and then you suggest him to exercise walking every day. Initially, he will find it very difficult in the first place to do it, but it doesn't matter. This is the remedy, this is the cure. He has to do that. He needs to start exercising, walking slowly, a little bit every day. Person has to be patient, and by practice over time, he will not find it painful, and it will improve. The condition will improve, and a person will see the result, and then the person will increase the walking, and gradually over time, he will achieve success. If as person develops taste and strength in performing that activity, so that will help in success. So similarly, we may feel that you're telling me to chant as part of bhakti yoga. You're telling me to chant Hare Krishna to control the mind, but because of uncontrolled mind only, I'm unable to chant. So how to do that? How to achieve it? Well, it doesn't matter. In the first place, you have to begin. Just endeavor to chant and keep chanting. Initially, we may experience that we have no liking for it. We don't have full control over the mind, but certainly we may have some control, and it will increase. The level of control will increase over time as we move ahead with this practice. We continue with this practice, this activity of chanting, and we will develop taste. So abhyasana tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihate. Vairagya means detachment. No, I will not get involved in those things which are not favorable for bhakti, for yoga. So there are certain activities which are not desirable, and which will further entangle us in in material. So we don't want to get involved in those activities. So by abhyasa and vairagya, one can move steadily in spiritual life without much difficulty. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, abhyasena and vairagya, practice and detachment. So in this way, if one moves forward, one will be able to control the mind, one will achieve success. So Srila Prabhupada here gives explanation from perspective of bhakti, that what is abhyasena, and what is vairagya in his purport here. So Srila Prabhupada says that actually when one practices spiritual life, he's mentioning this attachment is called pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. So he's emphasizing this pareshanubhava, spiritual satisfaction. So describes when one feels weak and one eats, and then when one eats, one gets taste, and when along with that one gets strength, and one's hunger vanishes. Similarly, when we remember Lord Krishna, he's emphasizing remembrance. When we remember Lord Krishna, certain things will happen automatically, right? What are those things that happen when we remember Lord Krishna? When we remember Lord Krishna, we get strength. That is one. And then our hankering goes away, our hankering for material, because material, those things which are detrimental, your hankering for those things will automatically go away. So we are hankering for so many material objects of this material world. And then when we get Krishna, when we get Lord Krishna, we are satisfied. This is going to happen automatically. So after that, we start getting taste, and we experience that taste. We feel it's so nice, and we feel so strong in performing it. Lord Krishna is so nice. Lord Krishna is absolute truth. He's all attractive, and whatever temptation comes, you'll be ready to face it. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that more we engage in devotional service, the greater satisfaction we will get. So that is how it is. So asamyata means unbridled, uncontrolled, and when the mind is uncontrolled, yoga dushprabha, perfection of yoga, is impossible to attain. Right? Yasya atmana tu yatata. However, if one brings the mind under control, the condition. However, if one brings the mind under control, yatata, by endeavor, Shakyo Vaptam Upayataha. One will be able to attain success. So you have to control the mind, and by endeavor, by practice, you will be able to attain success. So what is the point of this in this verse? The point is, if mind is not in control, the yogi's perfection is dushprapa, impossible to attain. But if one controls the mind by proper endeavor, by proper process, then shakyo vaptam, it is possible to attain. Shakya means possible. So then by endeavor, by proper process, it has to be achieved. So the point which Lord Krishna is making is he's suggesting and that encouraging that without compromising it, yes, it is possible if you endeavor, but with the right process. So you can't compromise in any of these. To control the mind, you have to follow this. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve success. You will not be able to achieve yogic perfection, both things. So one who doesn't control will not get it. So it is a requirement which has to be met. So one has to be uncompromising in these. So he's understanding and encouraging there is a right process for this. So, so for example, if there is a cricket match going on, and say, for example, there are 17 balls left and you need to score 100 to win, and you're tired, your body is low on energy after playing for so many hours. So is it possible to win? Well, if you look at it technically, it is possible to score 100, but you will be able to only if you do perform, achieve sixers on all 17 balls, then you will be able to achieve 102 score. So see, this is possible, but in Kali Yuga, if you look at it, so if you see, there's just 17 balls and it becomes difficult by this time. If you had initially maybe like 50 balls, it would have been easy, but by the time you're just left with 17 balls, you have to, it is possible. You have to give all sixers, all 17 of those, 102 score, and then you can win. So similarly, in Kali Yuga, the conditions of this yuga are so difficult for practicing the system or processes of previous yoga, for example, Ashtanga yoga, which was favorable in the previous yoga, but it is very difficult. It is not favorable in this yoga. So in terms of, our gross body or our subtle body or the environment we live in, the place, our ability, you have to have so much patience, strength, determination, time. It takes so much of time. You have to do so much of sacrifice. You have to be sit there for hours and days and for maybe years to achieve that. So if you see Kali Yuga, life is short and our attention span is also very short. You see, we are so used to TV, we are so used to YouTube, mobile, and the food we eat is also not very healthy. So all these things have so much of impetus. They have so much of um, effect on our body, subtle body, gross body. So how to practice something which is from the previous yoga? It is not possible. So like that, so you have to follow the process of controlling the mind, which is favorable, which is suggested by the scriptures, by Krishna himself, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, for this particular yuga of Kali Yuga. So you follow the process, you will be able to control the mind. So bring the mind under control and endeavor, then you will be able to achieve the success. So Krishna is offering encouragement to Arjuna over here. Yes, Arjuna, it is possible. You can do it. If you just keep practicing, you will be definitely achieving success and follow the process. So what is this process which Lord Krishna is emphasizing? Well, he'll actually talk it much later of Bhakti Yoga in detail. So Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, he will give contrast of these two practices of yoga in the 8th chapter. So he'll suggest Arjuna, what is the easy way? What is that process? What is the easy way? Initially, the discussion is Dhyāna-yoga, Ashtanga yoga, which is difficult process, especially if you see in Kali Yuga. But he'll suggest an easy way, which is what is easy to do. That is Bhakti yoga in Kali Yuga. So, so how it becomes easy for one to remember Lord Shri Krishna and remembrance of Krishna to control the mind. As mentioned earlier, Srila Prabhupada also emphasized this thing. Remembrance makes so many things easy when you remember Krishna. So many things happen automatically. You get strength, you get taste, and you will see gradually you will improve. But you just follow the process and practice and endeavor and do some detachment from things which are not favorable. So His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gave example of darkness and light. So darkness is impossible to remove if you don't have the right process, right? You can't remove darkness by punching, by cursing. It can't be removed by kicking. You can't remove darkness. It can't be removed. So you need to follow the process. We need to get the light. You need to switch on the button. So similarly, Lord Krishna is telling, if you don't use the right process, then we can't remove this darkness. We have to have the right process. We have to follow the right process. We have to follow the prescription. We have to follow the regulative principles. We have to detach from things which are not favorable, right? Process, detachment, remembrance, practice, endeavor. So sometimes people feel that I have so many anarthas, I'll just use the willpower to deal with deal with it. Willpower is not enough to achieve it. Willpower alone is not enough to achieve it. Example, if somebody is having cough, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gives an example of, if somebody is having cough or somebody is having loose motion, you can't just fix it by just willpower, right? You have to follow the process. You have to follow the prescription. You have to follow the rules. You can't just deal with it like that. Willpower is required, certainly, but willpower has to be coupled with the right process. Take this medicine, follow the prescription, take proper rest, follow the right diet. So willpower is not enough. Willpower has to couple with the right process, and then it will lead to the elevation, success in yoga, or whatever you're trying to achieve. So, the discussion is related to yoga, and for Kali Yuga, it is Bhakti Yoga, which is the right process. So Lord Krishna is saying, Shakyo Vaptam. It is possible, but how? Yatata, endeavor, Vashyatmana. Bring the mind under control, endeavor for it with the right process, and then you will attain perfection. So Arjuna has asked first question, how does one deal with this mind, which is very troublesome, very difficult, which is very flickering? How to deal with this mind, how to control it. So Lord Krishna told him how to deal it with patience, persistence, and detachment, abhyasa and vairagya. So Arjuna gets a question, so he's answering, and further he'll get into more detail. He'll have questions further related to it. So here we understand that we need to have abhyasa, practice. We have to have vairagya, detachment, right? Abhyasa, practice, vairagya, detachment from things which are not favorable. So we have these 4 regulative principles and other things. Abhyasa, practice, and you have to follow the right process. So there is a process for each yoga. You have to adopt that. And Srila Prabhupada emphasized that remembrance of Krishna will make it easy. You remember Krishna when you're doing it. You remember Krishna, automatically certain things will happen, which is you will get taste with time when you gradually practice. You will get strength to do it. And when you get strength and taste, you would want to do it more and more because this is the real thing, right? And automatically you will feel detached from things, material objects which are not favorable for this. So this is the way to go for it. And for Kali Yuga, it's Bhakti Yoga. And Arjuna will have more questions related to it. Lord Krishna will answer. So thank you, Prabhuji, Mataji. Thanks for joining. We'll continue with this class again tomorrow. And if anybody has any question, you may ask now. Else we'll log off for the day.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam, everyone.
Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll log off for the day and we will meet again tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you.